I want to become emperor of America temporarily. Kind of like how the Roman Republic had it at one point in time when things got bad enough, they would have a temporary dictatorship. And an example I like to use of why we need a temporary emperor slash king, doesn't really matter, just someone with supreme and ultimate authority, is there's too much yellow tape in government at the moment. Even if we elected one good president, right? Whoever you think it is, even if we had one good president, well, the Senate can hold them back, the House can hold them back, the Supreme Court can, decide that the good president that we elect, executive orders were unconstitutional, right? Kind of like with Trump's tariffs. So even if there was one good person and that person became president, they wouldn't really be able to achieve much because of checks and balances. Checks and balances is not inherently a bad thing. It's actually really good. However, it is the main thing preventing change in this nation. And I understand, right? Oh, an emperor, someone with complete power. People are quick to be skeptical and say, oh, that'll never work. But my question to you, if you do not have faith in an emperor, would be, well, what is your solution? If you think that someone with supreme authority to fix this nation is not good enough, and by the way, when I say an emperor, I'm not talking about anyone um, in politics currently, or at least that holds like any kind of political power. Right? I'm not talking about anyone in the Senate, anyone in the House, anyone that's part of Trump's party. None of them would actually be emperor. The emperor, in my ideal scenario, would come from the people, right? Would come from the masses. So that's where we would get our emperor from. But again, I ask you, what would be your solution, right? Further, just trying to vote our way out of it, right? That because that's what some people believe is that we can just vote our way out of it. But do you actually believe we have the time to vote our way out? The national debt is going to go up with every single president. I mean, hell, it's already skyrocketing with Donald Trump, but you could have said that for Biden as well. The economy is never getting better. Have some things improved in the economy? Yeah, like eggs are cheaper. At least they are in my area. Some other things have also gotten cheaper in my area. So the economy has improved in very small aspects. But young people can't afford homes. People are still struggling with their daily lives. I believe the statistic is over 70% of Americans are still living paycheck to paycheck. So the economy is only getting worse. Every single president is adding to our national debt. AI, with under Trump's big beautiful bill, AI is to be unregulated for the next decade. Like, where exactly is our opportunity to vote our way out of this, right? Midterms are coming up, right? We have an opportunity to, put people into power that could be beneficial to like actually changing America. But no one is running for these seats, right? People are hoping Fishback is going to be a good example, as well as Brandon Herrera and a few other people, right? But the problem is, these people are, I would say, are true patriots. Potentially, we'll have to see what they truly do once they get into office. But I would say that they actually are very different to the current people who are in office and who are on power, who are owned by a certain group of people, right? However, the midterms happen every 2 years, so they would have to keep their seats, right? And we would have to then put more people who are actually beneficial to the country in. Problem with that is, as like you can look on Brandon's channel, it's expensive to do all that campaigning and everything else. So can we keep the streak up of keeping these people into power, right? And then on top of that, not only do we need good people in the House, we need good people in the Senate, and then we need a good president ultimately. If we can get all three branches, you know, we there could be change, right? Without changing from the current system to a dictatorship slash, you know, having an emperor. However, that's assuming everything goes perfectly, right? every midterm we get a good amount of seats, right? Both in the House and in the Senate. And then they keep those seats in the next midterms. And in the next midterms, we also get good people, right, for both sections. But this is all reliant on two things: people actually running for the midterms, and then also the ability to keep them in. So it's reliant on those two things. And so far, we've really, like I said, really, we've only put in a few people who what I would say are like true patriots. And then look at Massey, right? Now, granted, it was a very expensive cost for these people, if you can classify that as expensive for them. Um, at the very least, $20 million, on the higher end, up into 30 million, is how much they spent to get Thomas Massey to lose his seat, right? I mean, he's still in power for now, but obviously once everything is said and done, he will no longer be a representative of the nation. And if you would think, oh, well, let's have Massey run for president again, just having a singular good president doesn't necessarily change anything. He could still be held back by the Senate, by the House, and that's just legally speaking. That's just legally speaking. We're also forgetting that the CIA could also just unalive him if he goes against, the people behind the scenes, people behind the curtains, plans for the nation, right? I mean, like, let's just bring up the most famous example, JFK, John F. Kennedy. He was going against the CIA. He wanted to downsize them. He believed they grew far too large to be any real benefit for the nation. And what they do? They set up a plot to assassinate him. And as the file more classified documents were released, at least under the Trump's administration, right, we have further confirmation that the CIA was involved within his assassination. Right now, this was a conspiracy for a long time until these files were declassified, and now people are like, wow, the CIA really was involved in killing him. So again, who's to say that other people in power won't take non-legal actions to remove you from power, right? And it's like, you can say, oh, well, that wouldn't happen because then there would just be an outroar, but I don't know, do you really believe that? I don't think so. I don't think there'd be an outroar by the people. I mean, the people are angry, sure, but I don't know if they would lash out and become violent. So again, all of this is depending on multiple factors. Versus installing an emperor, well, all that would be needed is a revolution, right? The people rebelling against the government and then installing someone to become emperor and lead the nation. And it's simpler, of course, and it's much faster. We don't have to wait these years for the ability to vote in people, and that's if they're even running for the seat, right? If they even choose to run for the seat. So it's simpler, it's faster, it's achievably faster than voting in people. And by the way, a revolution doesn't have to be violent. When you think of the word revolution, you're probably thinking of guns, lots of dead people out on the streets, buildings burned, cars burned. It doesn't have to go there. It can go there, but it doesn't have to. There are many types of ways to revolt in the modern day that is not just simply using violence. But let me ask, this is one of the main reasons I say we need an emperor, right? Let me ask you, do you believe that in the next, I don't know, let's say 10, 20 years, there will be any groups of people who actually want to cut off Israel? The answer to that is yes, right? Because as the old people die out, the young people get into office, the young people hold more seats, and the young people are not favorable of Israel. So the answer to that is yes. But again, the question goes back to, can we last another 10 years, another 20 years? as the old people die out, right? The boomer generation, as they die out, and the younger people get more and more power, right? Going back to Massey, Massey lost because he lost the majority of the elderly vote. A lot of the old people voted for his opponent, but a lot of young people voted for Massey. So it's very obvious that in the next 10, 20 years, as they die out, the young people will gain power. Again, the biggest problem with that is, can we last another 10, 20 years? I mean, look at how high tensions are within the nation already today. What's another year? Right? And especially with how fast things happen, right? I mean, like, the most recent situation with the blacks in this country was the one kid, I forget his name, getting unalived by an Asian man. And now the black community, or at least a section of it, is saying to boycott Asian businesses and, you know, everything else. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, it was a 14-year-old boy who had a firearm on him, and the store owner believed him to be robbing the place, right? And or stealing, not robbing, excuse me, stealing from him. The 14-year-old boy, I believe, from what I remember, he was holding water bottles, and then his firearm fell out of his, wherever he was holding it. The store owner saw that, shot the young boy. The young boy died, and now the black people slash a community slash section of the, populace of the black people are angry at Asians. They're saying they need to do more harm to Asians, everything else. And it's like, you see things like this, and this happens every time. Going back to last year, in like November, October, when the government was potentially cutting off EBT, right? The black community again was saying how they were going to steal from Walmarts, how if you tried to stop them from stealing, they would attack you, they would harass you, right? Like, tensions are ultimately at their highest currently, and they're only getting higher, right? I think, and this is for all Western nations, not just America in and of itself. All Western nations are ready for their one straw to break the camel's back. I mean, look at the UK with Henry Novak, right? The police officers arrested him as he was bleeding out, right, after being stabbed. And they were like, he's telling them, hey, I've been stabbed. And they're like, nah, I don't think you have, mate. And then what happened? The UK people were angry, and then a bunch of police officers were, are injured, and including, I think it was 11 police officers and a dog, police dog was injured, right? Like, tensions are very high. Do you genuinely believe we can last another 10, 20 years to wait out as the boomers die? I would say no, but there is, the hope of once they die, we will regain power. To just end this video off, right? I'll tell you the top 3 things immediately I would do as emperor, if I was the one to become emperor, right? And these videos are just going to be me telling you all what the things I would do if I was emperor. I don't have to be the one to become emperor. I don't really care. I just want our nation to get better. That's ultimately my end goal, is for America to become a nation people can be proud of again, right? Because saying you're from America doesn't bring any fond memories currently, right? I mean, what are you proud of exactly currently? Now, I'm not saying not to be proud of the nation. We're the, greatest nation in the world. But currently, we're definitely being downplayed and used by other people. So, yeah. So the top 3 things that I would do immediately gaining, political power, becoming emperor, is number 1, I would cut off Israel. They would not be gaining any more support from the United States of America financially, intel. They would not gain anything from us. And real quick, just going to address this, right? Whether you believe in this or not, it's something that, you should know about and be willing to address. The Samson option. How would I, as emperor, address the Samson option? Simple. Hey man, you want to launch? Launch. We'll launch more. we'll turn your entire little area into glass. Okay? I'm not gonna be blackmailed like these other fucking politicians. Okay, you want to threaten me with the Samson option? We have more than you. Okay, we have more than you. You stole from us to get the ability to threaten people with the Samson option. We have more than you. You don't want these problems. Okay, so that's how I would address the Samson option. And if you don't know what the Samson option is, look into it. Right? I could tell you, but I'd rather you find out for yourself. And again, it's not a confirmed thing. However, it is a very strong possibility that it is real. Again, look into it for yourself. Secondly, I'd repeal the 19th and ultimately change the way people vote. I believe democracy is horrible. I am very anti-democracy. The fact, or at least the opinion, that everyone's opinion matters is ridiculous. No, not everyone's opinion matters, right? Like the local drug addict, behind your 7-Eleven. Do you believe his opinion matters? No. Do you believe someone who touches kids, do you believe their opinion matters? No, right? A bunch of people's opinions in this nation don't matter, and that sounds wrong. That sounds bad. Like, oh my gosh, you don't care about what people think. No, I don't actually. A lot of people should have zero say or zero influence into our politics, right? But that would start with repealing the 19th, right? Women for far too long have been able to vote and meddle in the affairs of man. Look, lady, this is not your business. This is a man's business. You go back to doing whatever it is you do, but stay out of politics, right? It's not your concern. But not only would I repeal the 19th, I'd also, again, overall limit the amount of men who could actually vote. It would go back to how it was originally, right? Where you actually had to do something for the nation to be given the right to vote. I don't want to limit it to just like, or I don't want to have the inclusion of if you're a landowner and you pay, property taxes, because here's the thing, then essentially we would be valuing the opinions of OnlyFans people, right? These chicks who own properties because of their degenerate acts, right? I don't want to give them a vote when, everything they've gained is on degeneracy. I don't want that. So it'd be based on a system of like serving your nation, right? You can either go into the military for a set amount of time, or you can do things for your local governments / state for X amount of time. I'm working out like the overall timeline of how many years you would have to contribute to be given the ability to vote. But ultimately, it would only be men who could vote. And it would just complete repeal of the 19th. Women no longer need to vote. It's ridiculous that we even gave them that right. Right? Because again, we did give them that right. A lot of them actually didn't want it. I'm not going to get into it, but just know a lot of them didn't want it. It was very small percentage of them that actually did, and the majority of people who were pushing for it was men. And the third thing I do immediately as emperor would be getting rid of all the other problematic Americans, right? So it's not about getting rid of all black people. No, that's ridiculous. It's about getting rid of the problematic ones, right? The uncivilized ones, the ones where you look at them and they become hostile. It's ridiculous, right? So we would give them a choice, right? You can either go back to your continent of Africa, right? And we can send them back with like, $1,000, like we're doing what Trump's doing with, the illegal Hispanics, right? Hey, go back to your country. We'll send you off with $1,000. No hard feelings. You were here legally, but you're gonna self-deport back. Here's 1,000. We can do something like that. Send them back to their home continent of Africa. And if they refuse, well, then I use the military. We go into these fucking, how do they call them? Hoods, trenches, and we just kill everybody, and look, that sounds bad. Okay, it sounds bad. You know what I mean? Like, they're not good for anybody. They live off of welfare, they live off the state, they live off your labor. Do you want your taxes feeding these people? I don't think so. So again, it sounds bad. I understand that, right? But it's really not. It's for the benefit of everybody of the nation, right? Including the blacks, by the way, because see, there's a difference between the blacks and the uncivilized group, because the blacks are actually contributing members to society. They work full-time jobs. They are, some of them are actually doctors and engineers and not, like the joking kind. So I don't want to get rid of the good, hardworking Black Americans. It's just that there's a problematic group of them, of a portion of them, and it is a lot of them. To be fair, I'm not downplaying the amount of ends that are within the nation. There's a lot of them. I'd also get rid of a lot of Hispanics, right? That whole 10, 20 million illegal Hispanics. Yeah, where we would get rid of them. You know, within. I would try to hope for months. But if the logistics are against that timeline, at the very latest, within 2 years. If of course, like, logistics are become an issue, in which case, because there's many things as emperor that I would need to focus on, not just solving these three things, right? Like I have to stabilize the economy. I have to make deals with foreign nations. I have to make sure foreign nations would recognize, right, me as emperor, right, me as the new leader of America, right? Because if they don't recognize me, then essentially any kind of trade deals I would offer them would be null and void, because they don't recognize my authority over the, American government. So there's a bunch of things as emperor you would have to worry about besides this, which is why it's from a timeline of at like anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, right, depending on the logistics and everything else of the situation. But how I would solve the illegal Hispanic problem is I would go back 15 years, right? Maybe, yeah, no, 15 years is fair. 15 years, if your parents were illegal, but you gained citizenship, because we have birthright citizenship, your birthright citizenship would be revoked, and you would be being deported with your parents back to country of origin, right? So whether it was Mexico, whatever country you came from, and this is specifically for the Hispanics, right? Because a lot of the illegals here in the nation are Hispanic. Are there some who come from Canada and overstay their visas? Absolutely. Are there some who come from Eastern Europe who overstay their visas? Absolutely. But a majority of today's illegals are Hispanics. Okay, so just it would be a focusing on the Hispanics first, right? Because they are a bigger problem. Same thing with focusing on the uncivilized group of the Black community, because they are a bigger problem, right? You have to work on this in order. Otherwise, you only solve a little bit here, a little bit there, and nothing really changes, right? Like the nothing ever happens meme, right? Like, bro said he was gonna, after he became emperor, he was gonna get rid of all the ends, and then there and then there's still ends, and then they fucking post the nothing ever happens Chud Jack meme. It's like, so you have to handle these things in order to actually see effective results. Um, and yeah, so first it would be the uncivilized Black people, then it would be the illegal Hispanics. Just a quick touch up too, I'm ending birthright citizenship. I know it wasn't like in the top three, but it was part of it, seeing as I'm getting rid of a lot of the illegal Hispanics. Ending birthright citizenship, it's ridiculous that we even have that, right? I don't know exactly to what system I'll change it to. I'll look at other countries, how they determine citizenship, and see which ones I like from there. But it should not be, you're born into this nation and now you're American. It's ridiculous that that's even a thing that we've allowed, and it's a misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment, which was clearly, maybe not clearly, but it was written specifically in mind for the slaves who were then being, freed, and to acknowledge them as United States citizens. Knowing those three things, would you support me in becoming emperor? I hope so. And again, I don't have to be the one who becomes emperor. I'm just going to tell you the things I would want to see if we had someone in ultimate power like an emperor.